Okay, let's get started. This is Angela Anderson, and I've got my friend Carolyn Gore with me today to help answer questions and comments. We are going to be painting a red oak tree. This is my example painting that I did, and I actually did the tutorial for this and decided that I really didn't like the way the tree was situated on my canvas. I wanted it farther down with a little bit more space at the top here. And a little bit less of the horizon showing. So we're going to redo it, and I didn't have this size canvas, so we're going to do it on a little bit smaller, but it'll be the same principle. So I'm using a canvas pan, just a regular canvas panel, and my paints today are Phthalo Blue, Turquoise Green, Olive Green, Yellow Ochre, Cadmium Yellow, Naphthol Crimson, or Naphthol Crimson, I'm not sure, Cadmium Red Deep, and Black and White. So we will start by spraying down our canvas. I'm going to wet my brush, and I'm using a 1.5 inch large flat brush, and I'm going to pick up some of this Phthalo Blue and some white. Hi, Brad. Thanks for joining me. Carolyn's here again. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit of water to that. I want it kind of light coverage, or sort of little, not quite a wash, but a little bit more watery than I might normally do, because I'm trying to kind of get a smooth sky this time. So I'm just going to go back and forth across my canvas. Work my way down. I need a little bit more water, I think. We have got our first, this is the first weekend I think that we've had since fall began that is like really feels like fall. It is.
Yeah, we're like, only in the 70s for our high.
Oh my gosh, it feels so nice here.
My kind of weather.
Yes, for sure. So I have
the leaves haven't started changing yet, though.
No, they haven't.
But we don't have beautiful colors like the East Coast does.
No, but they're not bad. They're still pretty decent. We still get some fall change. Yeah. I've got a couple of trees. I've got two sugar maples in my front yard that turn that bright red color. They're really pretty when they get going, and they're starting to get bigger now. We bought them several years ago, and they were too small to make an impact, but this year I think they're going to be really pretty because they're getting fairly big now. Okay, now I'm picking up just a little bit of white, and toward the bottom here where my horizon line is, I'm just going to add some white and kind of work it back up into my sky.
Taryn says she's I've been watching your posted recordings of each tutorial, and I'm so excited I'm finally home to watch one actually live.
Awesome. Thank you, Taryn. I'm glad you got to make it this time. Are you the one that I talked to that was from England? I talked to a lady who was from England last time we did a live stream, and she said that it was about 7 o'clock or something when she got home from work and she missed it. She was going to try to make this one. Okay, so I've got I'm stopping right about a quarter of the way. I'm leaving a little bit less horizon line in mine here than I did here, because I felt like in this painting that this horizon line was, I didn't like the fact that the tree was competing with the bushes behind it. So I kind of wanted to make a little bit less horizon line than this, and everything's going to be moving down anyway. So I decided to, instead of doing it a third of the way up like I might normally do, that I would do my horizon line about a third of the way, or a quarter of the way up. So just find your halfway mark and then stop about leave about a quarter of the horizon free there, or a quarter of your canvas free at the bottom. Clean out your brush really good. And we're going to pick up some olive green now.
Terrence from Idaho.
Oh, okay. Well, you're not obviously not the person I talked to then, Terrence. Sorry. But I'm glad you can make it nonetheless.
Pat's from Dallas.
Oh.
Pretty
Hi,
close
Pat.
to us.
That is. I know. I've gone down there for concerts, and my brother used to live down in Dallas for a little while, about 6 months.
I'm from Texas.
Oh, yeah. Carolyn's a Texas girl. Okay, so I'm going to do this lime. It's kind of a lime green almost, but it's called olive. It's a...
Oh, they're saying, is it possible to zoom the camera out slightly so we can see the whole canvas?
Oh, I didn't know it was doing that. Sorry. Yes. Well, I don't know why it's on my thing here. It's showing. Let me move it farther away here. Woo! It's weird on my camera here. It's showing the whole thing, but on the screen it's not. I don't know why.
Tell us what you guys see now.
Well, I think... Oh, shoot. I just unplugged it completely. There we go. No. There we go. Bring it back this way a little bit.
Is that
wow.
better?
Not sure why it's zoomed in on my camera. Okay, is that better? It's still not looking good. Hold on. This is a pain. There we go. Well, maybe. Is that better? Yeah, they're going to have to wait. It's going to take them a while for it to catch up. For some reason, this is zoomed in on there. I'll need to adjust my settings.
Yes, that sounds better.
Better? Okay.
Great.
Okay, there we go. Audio. Okay, everything's still working. Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't mess anything up by my unplugging it. Okay, sorry about that.
We want you to see the whole thing.
That's right.
She says, yes, thank you, as long as it stops moving.
yeah.
That's quite a little
yes,
trip there.
It was. Yeah, and then I unplugged it for a little while, so you'll probably have a blank screen there a little bit.
We aim to please, though.
Yes. Oh.
Good suggestion.
Yeah, that was weird. It was... I'll have to figure out. Well, I thought I got all the kinks worked out, but I guess I'm still figuring it out as I go here. Sorry, folks. Okay, so now I've picked up some turquoise blue, and I'm just going to add this at the bottom here, and this may be too dark. I might add a little bit of white to it to cut the color a little bit. I don't want it super dark. And I left that olive green in my brush, so it kind of made this green color. It's not straight turquoise. And I'm just going to blend these two together. Pick up a little bit more olive. And when they're meeting right there in the middle, I'm just going to blend back through. Picked up a little bit more of the dark. You don't have as much room to work with on this canvas, so I might have been better off to move to a smaller brush so I could get a little bit more finesse, but this is the brush I told you that I was going to be using, so I'm just using a smaller canvas than I used in my original example. Okay, I think that's good enough. We'll be messing with this horizon line, so don't worry about it too much if it's not completely even. We're going to be adding some other details back there. So go ahead and clean that brush out, and that's probably the last we'll see of that large brush. We don't really need it for anything else. Better, thank you. Okay. Pat. Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to switch to my number 4 round brush, and I'm going to make kind of a purple for our hills in the background. You can leave this out if you don't want any of these little hills back here. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did that. And that is Phthalo Blue with a little bit of this Cadmium Red Deep. And then just a tiny bit of white to make that color not quite so vibrant. And that white will just tone it down a little bit, make it a little bit softer. Your colors in their horizon line are going to be less saturated, so they're going to be more kind of dull or purpley blues, cool colors.
They're quiet. They're
Everybody's watching, being quiet today. I think it's too nice. I think everybody's out enjoying the nice weather like we've got here today. Nobody wants to be inside on a nice fall day like this, that's for sure. So I'm just running the tip along the horizon line, and then every now and then I'm just kind of wiggling it to get a few little, I don't know, trees or bushes or whatever you want those to be back there. If you want them to look like mountains, you could make them more smooth around the edges.
Well, while everybody's quiet, just want to ask how they found Angela's channel. Is that word of mouth or on social media? We just like to know how you found Angela's artistry channel on YouTube.
Right. Okay. I'm just being random with this. I'm not adding a lot of detail at this point. I'm trying to decide if I need to do more on some of my other, I don't tweet very much, so I'm wondering if you've found me on Twitter, I'd be real curious, because I'm trying to kind of get a little bit more active on Instagram and Twitter, because I don't really do a whole lot on those platforms.
Hi Diana, we're glad you made it. It's okay if you're a little bit late. We just like you to show up and be with us.
Right. Get a little outside the lines, don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm making those fairly small because I really want them to look like they're far away. You could make them bigger if you want.
Angela says it's through the CAC.
Through the CAC. Oh, okay, Angela. I didn't know you were part of the CAC. Very nice. Need to look up your channel later. I'm still meeting people. We started out with 9 of us, and it's over 300 and something now. probably close to 400, I'm guessing.
Oh, Diane, I found you on CAC as well.
Wonderful.
We love that CAC.
I know. You ladies are awesome. I swear. This is such a great resource for me, for sure. I've learned so much from my other artist friends that I've met on there. My canvas is sticking. I got a lot of water under there. I'm just letting this dry just a little bit. I'm not going to use the hairdryer because I don't want to blast you guys out, but it does need to dry just a little bit. So
Yay, Photo Fun says, found you on YouTube while looking at other acrylic painting how-tos.
okay, very good. Well,
Great,
I'm glad.
that's
Yeah.
great. And Pat, search for acrylic beginning paintings.
Wonderful.
What is CAC?
CAC is a group of creators. We all do YouTube videos for art related or craft related YouTube videos, and so it's a way for us to connect on Facebook. We created a group on it's just for the creators, but we release a video once a month of a different theme. So everybody we pick a theme. We've done the first one we did was Love Summer Art, so we did summer themed art. Then we did August art, which was animal related art, and then this last month was Love Fall Art. And she does mini albums. Okay. And anyhow, so we'll do another release in 2 weeks. So if you come back in 2 weeks for my next live stream, we'll be doing I think it's okay to release. Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say what our theme is this month. You'll have to just check back and see what our theme is for this month. You probably could figure it out because there's a lot of talk about this particular issue in the news right now. So, but anyhow, so it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
Hi, Denise Moore. We're glad you showed up.
Hi, Denise. All right, so I'm letting this dry a little bit. This is mostly dry down here. I'm going to go ahead and add a few little grasses here before we start on our tree. I just wanted our sky to be completely dry before we started on anything. So I'm using a fan brush, but you could use the number 4 for this if you wanted to, and just kind of tap it. But I'm picking up a little bit of yellow ochre. And I'm keeping my brush fairly dry here, and I'm just going to tap in some lines of grass, and I'm very lightly tapping here. I'm not wanting these ones in the very back here to be big. I want to keep them real small. So I'm just going to put a few little clusters of grasses. And then as I get down towards the bottom of the canvas, I can start actually pulling up just a little bit so that the grass clumps get a little bit bigger and the things in the foreground are going to be larger. So
Diana Turney says, I'm not a creator, but I really enjoy the hashtags. But I found you long before when you did the pear painting.
oh wow, so
And
she's been
Angela
around for a
Marie
while.
Said, yeah, she remembers the pear painting. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the very first, actually I think that was the very first tutorial I ever put on YouTube. And it kind of made me realize that there was sort of a need for beginner tutorials. There's a lot of fine art tutorials and a lot of crafting tutorials, but there weren't a lot of full-length painting tutorials at the time where you could sit down and watch something for a beginner, you know, that has never picked up a brush before, and make it easy for them. So that's what I'm all about. Okay, so if you notice that, like here down toward the bottom, I just kind of set my brush down and flicked it a little bit just to get some of these clumps of grasses down toward the bottom a little bit bigger. Okay, So, and we'll probably add some other colors here in a little bit, but I want to get my tree in, and then we can add some other colors to our field if we want to.
Oh, Diana says also the nest with eggs is also a beautiful painting from Angela.
Thank you. I think I have 3 nest videos. I have one that's a mixed media, one's a painting one, and then one's a demonstration, like a time lapse one of my paintings that I sold. So 2 of them are for beginners, and then the other one is just a demonstration of one of my fine art paintings. Okay, so that's it for the fan brush right now. If you like a fan brush, you could use it in your tree for this coming up here when we do the foliage. I don't particularly like it because I just find I don't know. I like the round Deerfoot for foliage better. So I'm going to switch back over to my number 4. And if you want to, at this point, you could dry this completely and then use either like a pencil or like a watercolor pencil you could use to draw your tree in. And if you're not comfortable with painting straight onto the canvas, I would suggest you probably go ahead and do that. Chalk will allow it to be erased completely. The watercolor pencil might show some lines, but most of the stuff, especially in our top part of the tree, is going to be covered up. So while this is drying down here, I'm going to talk to you about the shape that we're going for here. I did a little sketch. So the main shape outline here is going to be for the oak tree at least, is going to be kind of a dome shape. And then the bottom of the tree is almost straight. This trunk part of the tree is about, in my particular this video, is about the same distance as the bottom of the horizon here. So this bottom field part is about the size that we want to do our tree trunk. And we're going to place it probably about halfway down our horizon line, maybe a little bit farther down, a little closer, but we're going to leave a little bit of space down here, and that'll be the bottom of our tree. I don't know if you can see that, but I just made a little line. So about halfway through our horizon, maybe just slightly farther down, we're going to make a little mark for where we want to put the bottom of our tree, and then the tree trunk that's showing will be about the same length as the side, so it'll end right about up here like that. Does that make sense? And then the top part of our tree is going to be about two lengths. So if you measure your tree trunk, the top part is about 2 sizes on either side. So just leave yourself enough room. You can use your fingers to kind of judge how far up you need to go and maybe make a mark so you don't go farther than that. That's what happened on mine here. I just didn't plan my spacing very well, and I really don't like the fact that there's no room at the top of my canvas here. I left way too much room at the bottom here. I should have made my tree start about right here so that I had some room at the top. So we're going to make sure we leave plenty of room, and I'm centering mine. If you want to, you could offset your tree some. It's just up to you, but I wanted to do it right in the middle, big focal point there. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint instead of draw this because I feel more comfortable painting. But if you want it, like I said, if you want to draw it first, you can. Okay. Who all's with us today? We want to hear from you if you've joined us. We like to know if you haven't commented yet.
Yeah, I have 11 names down, but it's showing us we have 22 watching, so we want to get everybody's name down.
I want to know who's...
Gotta have a little roll call.
Okay, so if you wanted to, you could make your tree trunk brown. I decided to just go ahead and use the colors from my palette and not introduce another color, but that's up to you. This one, I I did is a combination of, let's see, turquoise, cad red, white, and then I added some yellows for the highlights colors. So that's what we're going to do. It kind of made a nice like dark navy. So, oh, I'm using the wrong blue there. I started out with my phthalo blue instead of my turquoise. Okay, so there's my turquoise. And here's my cad red. So I'm going to pick up some of that, and I'm going to make this dark. It makes this really nice black. But depending on how much turquoise and red you use, if you get more red, it'll be a little bit more on the purple side. If you get more turquoise, it'll be a little bit more on the navy blue side. So I'm going to add a little bit more turquoise because I want it sort of more like a navy blue color.
Hi Myra, we're glad you joined us.
Okay.
Do you pronounce that last name Willoughby? Oh. Ernby, we see you from Michigan.
Okay, so now I'm going to twist my brush into a point. I think I have a lot of paint on there right now, so I'm going to clean that out so it's not too thick with paint, and I can get a nice fine point on it.
Yeah, Pat V says, yes, that is the stuff I need to learn. How to plan out spacing, how to break down stuff into chunks.
Yes. That's one of the hardest things to figure out sometimes.
Or you get lopsided paintings.
Right, yep. Yep. It's a really common problem. Okay, so I'm going to just start my tree trunk. I'm going to make it fairly thick because these oak trees are, since the canopy is so large, it kind of needs a thick trunk to support it. So, but a lot of times there's not a lot of the trunk showing on oak trees. What
colors did you mix to get that brown?
I mixed turquoise and cadmium red deep. And it's a little bit more on the turquoise side than the red side.
Yeah, so Myra was saying she says red and green makes a pretty brown.
It does, yes.
And Angela Marie is here from Hot Springs.
Awesome.
You're really close to us.
Yeah. Angela Marie, that's my name too. Angela Marie. I was an Angela Marie Walker. That was my maiden name. Now I'm Angela Marie Anderson. Okay, so then toward the bottom here, we're going to make a foot for him. So we want to come out and give him some feet. And then this one down here will come sort of towards you. You can kind of make like a little V shape right there. So that he is sitting on, he's not going to fall over. And these roots come out fairly far on an oak tree, so I'm going to go ahead and come out. Some trees grow almost straight up from the ground, but oak trees have a little bit more roots at the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and give him some good feet here to sit on. I'm just kind of widening it out there. He looks like he's tilted. I've got my canvas at an angle to where I'm sitting, so I need to get straighter here because I'm tilting him off to this side. I need to widen him on this side here. Okay. So he's out, in, and then back out. And I'm going to put one of his branches a little bit lower than the other one, starting out over here.
Thanks, Jasna, for joining us today. Sorry you have to leave.
Oh, Sydney. Oh, wow. You caught us early. Well, I'm glad you got to join us a little while. Probably heading off to work or something.
Love to see you again.
That's been the fun thing about doing these videos. I get to meet people from all over the world. It's really fun. Okay, so when you're doing your tree trunks, mainly you want to create Y shapes. So I'm going to do, see my Y's here? This is a Y going this way. And these branches that are low will actually come almost straight out. So you curve them up, but then you can bend them back down a little bit. And just be sure that you see that area there where I got it, it's thin and then it goes thick again. That is kind of an unnatural, that's what will make your painting look a little bit unnatural, because that's really not what a natural branch would do. So you just need to either widen it out here, or you could make another branch coming out here to disguise that. But still, I would widen this out just a little bit so that it doesn't look like our tree is getting these areas where the branches diverge. They will have a little bit, like right here, there will be a little bit thickened area right there where they join. So if you'll just come back in, I'll do another one. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do one. I'm gonna show you what not to do. How's that? So, and then most of this is going to be covered over, so this is just kind of a basic. You don't have to worry too much if you get an area on your painting where you really mess up one of these branches and it looks terrible or it gets too thick or whatever. We'll just put a big clump of red over the top. If you look at this, there's really not a whole lot of this understructure showing once we get the red on top. So the main areas are right here. That's going to show right here, and then there'll be a few branches up here. But I do want to show you how to do it properly, because there's times when you might want to have your tree branches showing and no leaves on your tree. So what you don't want to do is come out like this from a branch, like perpendicular like that. Now I say that sometimes there might be a branch over here where this one is coming from, and that's, you know, so you might see some of this, but this branch would not be coming off of this tree necessarily. So you'd want to smooth that transition a little bit by widening. This should have a little bit thicker area where that branch is coming off of. Make sense? Okay,
Michelle says if you wanted to add some texture to your tree trunk and leaves, what could you add to the paint that would not be too...
Oh, some texture. Okay. Well, they have modeling pastes that have texture in them. I'm trying to see if I've got one here. This one's like a coarse modeling paste, and when it goes on, it has like a little bit of a grit to it, and you could put it on thick and then run run like your palette knife through it to make grooves and that kind of thing. So that's probably what I would use, either that or even like a gel medium. But if you want it to be coarse, something like this coarse modeling paste is probably your best bet for that. That's a good question.
Photo Fun says she used tissue paper before to add texture.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like put it on with a gel medium or something.
And Kelly W has showed up. She says hi to everybody.
Hi, Kelly. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to switch over to a smaller brush because this brush is getting too big. I'm going to switch to a liner. And I'm not going to do many more branches because really most of all of this is going to be covered over anyways, but I did want to show you the basic structure. Uh-oh, look at that. Whoop. It's a good thing it fell there and not way up here, huh? Okay, so I want my tree branches to go pretty far up. They're going to be in this, remember we're doing like a dome shape, so these ones, this will just help you, putting all of this, even though most of this is going to be covered over, this will help you when you do your clusters of leaves, you want to figure out where to put your clumps of leaves. So having this structure underneath will help with your
Shade
overall
206
design.
says it looks great. Saw your notice in the CAC. Wanted to pop in before I had to
Awesome.
work and give you a thumbs up and a hi.
Thanks, Shay. Thanks for stopping by. I've met so many nice people from there. It's been really great because well, it's good for everybody. It helps the designers, but it also helps the people who are watching our videos, because our videos are better for having all of this good advice from other artists. Knowing camera placement and that kind of thing, and just all kinds of technical stuff that somebody who's not doing YouTube videos might not really care about or know even goes into it. Okay, I'm trying. I can get so detailed in these trees, you can just kind of get lost in it. It's really fun. And if you want, I hold my brush a little bit farther back than I might normally do. I don't hold it really tight because I kind of want these to be loose. And you can twist your fingers while you like roll it between your fingers when you're doing your branches, and that will give them kind of an irregular look too. That branch got out of control. I got too much water on that one.
Marizin 2, even though you missed the beginning, you can watch it after it uploads on YouTube.
That's right. Yep.
She says, oh, I missed the beginning, but looking good.
Thanks.
How many of you are painting with us today? Anyone out there painting?
I know Colleen was painting. She painted several of mine in the past, so I bet she's probably going to watch it and paint it later. If she's anything like me, I like to watch first and then make a plan. Okay, so I'm staying within my dome shape here, right? These are going almost straight out. This branch, I don't know what happened to him. I think I'm gonna dab him off because he's awfully thick. Got my paint too thick on him. Don't stress out if this happens to you. Don't freak out, because it's not. I probably wouldn't have done that if I was worried about it, what it was going to look like, but these are going to be mostly all covered over. So
Shay, we hope you have a good day at work. We'll talk to you
Thanks
again.
for watching.
Yeah.
Okay, and make sure some of these cross over too. You want them, they're not gonna. Okay.
Jessica says she's painting.
Good.
I can't hang this up today.
Nice. This is perfect for fall.
And Angela Marie says she's just watching for now, but she'll do this one later, I'm sure.
Awesome. Okay. I think we're probably good. So once you get this down, then you kind of go back in here and decide if there's any areas that you want to thicken up any of your transitions. So some of these branches you might need a little bit more thickness where they're joining each other. I think we got most of these. Like this one maybe needs to be a little bit thicker right there. And that'll just kind of help. Like I said, most of this is covered, but it does help to practice this. And if by any chance it does show through, you'll want it to look right. So doesn't hurt to go back. I think that's good. I think I'm going to leave that. All right, let's go ahead and work on this down here. I want this to be completely dry before we do our red. We don't want it to mess it up. And I'm going to spritz my canvas because it's starting to get a little bit dry. And I think I'm going to use my liner brush just to make sure that I keep these real small. I'm going to mix some olive and some white together. Now olive is the color that I used back here for my horizon line, so adding a little white to it will just give us a little bit lighter color to work with. And we'll put a few little highlights in our field. So this is probably way more than I needed to mix up for that. I don't know why that got so big, but that's all right. So with the liner brush, you always kind of want to add a little bit extra water to your paint so that it can flow. So I'm adding a little bit of water to that. Okay, and we're just going to keep our lines, the main thing you want to do is just keep your lines horizontal. So we're going to do clusters. I'm having a real issue with water today for some reason. Let me get a better paper towel. I keep dripping water on my canvas. So I'm going to do little clusters of, you might not be able to see those very good yet. Get a little bit thicker. Little clusters of highlights. There we go. That might be too dark. If you get an area that's a little too dark, you can go back in and pick up some of the olive and go back over to soften up. I actually like having both of those on there, so let's go ahead and do it that way. So I'm just putting little teeny tiny dots. Now the ones that are farther away are going to be really small, and the lines will be closer together. So here's my horizon line. My lines back here are going to be really small and closer together, right? Then as you get towards the bottom, they're going to be a little bit bigger, maybe longer, and a little bit farther apart. And then as you get down toward the bottom, they're going to be really long and really far apart. Does that make sense? That will help with the illusion of depth right off the bat, just by doing that. Okay, so that's what we're going for here. And the ones that are in the foreground here, I'm going to get more olive green for them because I don't want them to be so bright. These ones back here are more white. And these are very random. If you want to, you could use your fan brush for this and do this with your fan brush instead. I might even tap over the top and kind of soften up some of those. I sort of like having both the fan brush and this look though, so that's up to you. And actually I don't want my highlights to be right up underneath my tree because those areas are going to be shaded. How's we doing? I think you will use it many times after trying it.
About the tissue.
Oh, yes. Okay. I'm really just doing kind of dot dash stuff here.
Angela Marie says, I find it so amazing how those little highlights can add so much to a painting.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of bring it alive.
Mm-hmm.
Pat V says, far apart. That is why my water reflections, white line thingies, look weird. Thanks.
Yeah, it definitely is the same with water for sure. It's a really common problem. Okay, so that's good, I think. And I'm going to go back in and do some of these with darker too, but I think my tree is almost done. I want to go ahead and get my first layer of red on here. So I think on this one I used my sponge because it was a larger canvas, but for this smaller canvas I think I want to use my Deerfoot Stippler because I can have more control. So
the picture as it is now looks more like a winter tree picture, and the one when you finish it's going to look like a fall picture.
That's true. Yeah. In fact, you could probably do a series of these. I could see one where you did one with pink or, you know, some sort of white blossoms and, for spring, and maybe do some, different color grass. And then do a green one for the summertime and change your sky colors. Wintertime colors might be a little bit more gray. So I might not use such a bright blue. For summertime, I might use a really vivid blue. And same thing for spring. You could just kind of change it up. That would be fun to do 4 different versions of this.
Season of one
seasonal.
tree.
That's right. That might not be a bad idea for a series. I might just do one for the wintertime. That's this same tree, and then keep on going. Do one in the spring and one in the summer.
Marizin 2 says you explain things so well, Angela. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And Stacy, she says, I'm late, but hi.
Hi, Stacy. Angela's daughter's going to paint this too. Awesome.
She's offering a lot of praise. She wants to paint this as well.
Awesome.
Yay.
Awesome. Okay. So to do our tree, the first thing I'm going to do is put in our shadow areas, and then we'll put in our next layer and then the highlights on top of that, and then we can go back in and tone down our highlights a little bit. So we'll do at least 4 layers on the tree, and possibly more, just depending on how it progresses. So the main thing is, I showed it here, is when we're doing our little highlights here, we want to have, or our shadow areas, the shadow areas are going to be behind some of these branches, and they're going to be underneath. So this tree, we're going to just have our light coming full on from the top down, so that there's not like a light side and a dark side. But you can do it however you want to. If you do your light source coming from this side, then this side of the tree would be darker, and then it would be lighter as you go towards this side. But we're kind of doing it as if it's a bright sunny day and it's just coming straight on down. So there will be highlights catching the tops of all of our little clusters here. And so the bottom areas are going to be where the dark parts are going. And then there'll be some dark parts that are sort of in between that we're seeing through to the other side of the tree that are in shadow. So I'm going to pick up some Cad Red Deep.
Oh, our buddy Witzel's here now.
Hey, Witzel. Witzel, Carol and I we looked you up, and we saw that you're an alien. So we're going to see the Martian later. We wondered if you were from that planet or from Mars or what planet.
You gotta set us straight, Witzel.
That's right. Okay, so I'm just mixing a little tiny bit of black in to my red here, and this cadmium red has a very kind of a purple tone. So it makes this lovely kind of dark, deep burgundy wine color. And I'm going to just start picking out, and I'm using I've only loaded it at the very top here, so this back part doesn't really have, well,
Yeah,
it does have paint.
What brush are you using
This
now?
is a Deerfoot Stippler now. I've switched to the Deerfoot. So if you're doing a larger canvas, you could use a larger sponge, and you'd get the same type of effect. But I'm using the Deerfoot because it's a smaller canvas, and it'll just be easier to control. I need more of this color, so I'm gonna get a good sized puddle going here. Okay, that's good enough. We don't want it black, but we definitely want it darker than these two, because this is our shadow color. So I'm going to clean off the back end of this. The Deerfoot is angled. Mine is so old it's almost straight now, but it's angled a little bit, so I'm putting the color at the top of that angle so I can control it a little bit better. And I'm going to start shadowing my clusters here. And I'm just picking random areas, leaving a little bit of blue at this point, showing through my tree. I don't want to lose all of the color, all of the sky. So, and I'm sort of doing little oval clusters, sort of, that makes sense. And I'm really mainly just shadowing the bottom edge of these. So there'll be another lighter colors at the top. And do a little bit of this toward the top, but not as much as the bottom. That makes sense. So these will be a little bit more solid at the bottom, and then at the top of your cluster you will have a little bit of space for your lighter colors to go, but you still want a little bit of this to give it some depth. So I think we're good there.
Yeah, Witzel, he says, alien from the art galaxy, billions and billions of light years away, look like I slips and fell on a pallet. Oh, Witzel, you're such a card, I tell you.
Does that mean you're very colorful, Witzel? Okay, so also these edges here, I want to have some movement in and out here, so leave some areas that are a little bit more spaced apart, so it's not like a solid dome. And then these ones are going to go underneath our tree some, so we'll have some branches peeking through from the other side over here. And if you cover over your branch completely, don't worry about it, because what we're going to do is we're going to come back over this black with, we're going to go back over our tree trunk with some of that black to bring back out some of those that get covered over too much. Okay, so I think that's good. Still got enough. I'm just tapping lightly. I don't have a lot of paint on my brush, mostly just on the very tip.
Karen said she changed from the tablet, moved to the computer, so hopefully she can stick with this now.
Oh, good. Okay. All right, I think we're good there. I want some kind of odd shapes going on up here.
And Witzel says, yes, I'm very colorful, according to some people.
Okay, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and clean this out really well. Because I don't want to muddy up my colors too much. I want my next red color to be nice and vibrant. But be sure that you get all of the water out of this brush, because you don't want it wet down. So you want it to be almost dry when you're using it.
We have somebody from South America.
Oh, that's cool.
Glad you joined us. How the tree just gets better and better, Angela Marie.
Thanks.
The more colors you add to it.
Okay, so this is our base. And like I said, we did our shadow colors. We've got some clusters here that we created. And we tried to keep the darkest parts at the bottom and left the top parts lighter. So now we're going to put our red in. This is our Cadmium Red Deep. I just love this color. This is one of my favorite reds to use because it's so vibrant. Okay. And I'm going to now come to these clusters and I'm going to tap over them and leave a little teeny tiny bit of that undercolor peeking through. So I'm just going to find all of my little areas here and leave just a little bit of that dark red peeking through. So we don't want to cover it over too much, and we still want to leave some little pockets of blue showing too. So try to be selective as where you put this. If you use the very tip and kind of angle it down, there's actually other sizes of this brush that are a little bit smaller too that might be easier to control for some. And I'm going on fairly thick this time, so I've got pretty thick paint on my brush here. That way we'll get a nice solid color. Okay, I need to leave a little bit of that.
Using the right paintbrush and colors makes this painting easier than what you probably thought it would be.
That's right, yeah.
Trying to make all those leaves.
Yeah, true. That is true.
This is where the training and knowledge comes in from other artists that you learn from. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that's good. So I've left some of these dark areas still showing, but now I've got, I don't want to, oh, that might have been too low, but that's all right. Okay, so this is where this step right here is where you're really going to make all of these shapes happen. So this is where you'll get your outline for your tree kind of worked out with this color. Okay. All right, I think I like that. I'm going to leave a little bit more of this showing. I kind of like that color there showing, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that. Not cover it over as much as I did in this one. Okay, let's clean that out. And I'm going to, I'm trying to think if I want to leave that to dry. I think I might just leave that to dry just a little bit because I don't want the colors to blend when I put my next colors on. So let's go ahead and go back down under our tree. And I didn't include this brush on my list, so I'm sorry, but this is a 1/2 inch flat. And I decided it might be easier to use than my big one. I used the big one for this step on my other canvas, but this one's a little bit smaller than mine, so my example one, so I'll need a smaller brush.
Michelle says she keeps losing the live feed.
Uh-oh.
And Pat did too. That's why she switched to the computer.
Oh.
It's okay over here.
Huh. Yeah, our
Yes.
notifications. Yes, there'll be an upload of this afterwards. Yes, for sure. So, oh yeah, let's put our highlights on our tree trunk too. Well, we'll do this first. Okay, so this is going to be our shadow underneath our tree. And I'm just wetting down some turquoise. And I'm going to add some of this color over the top. I don't have a lot of it in my brush. I have just a very little, so that by the time I get out toward these outer edges, there's really no color left in my brush, so it's just blending out. Pick up a little bit more, go a little darker right up underneath. And I don't mind having kind of some dappled color there because your sunlight is making it through the tree just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and tap in some texture too. And then blend it out. Use your finger if you need to. Soften anything, and may go back in and do it a little bit darker. But then I'm going to also use well, I'll do this later. Never mind, I'll do that part later. Let's go ahead and do some highlights on our tree here. So I've got my color that we used for our tree trunk. It's this nice deep kind of greenish navy color, and I'm going to add some white to it. And I think I might add a little yellow ochre and see what that looks like. And make it a little bit more green. I'll use a combination of these colors. Yeah, okay. Make it a little bit darker. I don't want it quite that light. There we go. And if you ever look at a moss or an oak tree up close, they do have kind of this kind of mosses, and they're kind of greenish gray more than brown, so that's what I was trying to go for here. I'm going to just put some of these streaks sort of just in lines, make my brightest part right down the center here, and catch some highlights on our little tree trunks, my roots there. I'll pick a little bit more white up, do a few lighter streaks. Yeah, there we go. And I'm kind of dry brushing. I don't have a lot of water in my paint, so I'm going on I've got fairly thick paint in my brush, and I'm very, very lightly touching it on my canvas, so it just drags and catches on the texture of the canvas. I'll go ahead and put some out here too on my branches that are showing. Okay. And then if you get too much, you can go back in and pick up some of this tree trunk color and go back over. So you kind of want about, I don't know, 3 tones maybe. You want the darkest color was our first color, then you want kind of a medium value, and then a light, really light, and the lightest part is going to be where your brightest highlights would hit, maybe down the middle here, depending on where your light source is coming from.
Witzel says, have I missed anything? Had to step out to investigate somebody nosing around my outer galactic spaceship. You live an interesting life, Witzel. I tell you.
I'm excited to see the Martian today because I've read the book and it was amazing. So I'm really excited that we're going to get to see it today. Ooh, that was bright. That's all right. I felt like it needed a little bit more oomph. What I'll do, if you do that and you get it to where it's like white, like in your face white like that, what we'll do is go back over it with a wash of some other colors, and that'll tone it down. So I'll leave that for now. I'm not going to try to take that off. I'll just come back in and tone it down later with some other colors. So, and while I've got this number 4, I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of this red And could put a few little dots of red in underneath my tree, like leaves have fallen down there. It might be close up by the tree trunk there. And then a little more randomly spaced as you go out.
Oh yeah. That's the fun of fall, is raking leaves.
Yeah. That is one nice thing. Our tall trees that have a lot of leaves are over a creek, so they just get washed on down. We've got a little creek that runs by our house, so we don't have any major trees real close up to the house that we have to rake, fortunately. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and go back up in here with our next color. We'll do our highlight color. This is Naphthol Crimson. And we're going to use Naphthol Crimson, and then we're going to also use some white mixed with this Naphthol Crimson, but we're going to do the Naphthol first, I guess. And
does this one fill in the tree more now with this color?
We're going to leave a little bit more of the white space showing through than on this particular example than I did on mine. I felt like mine, especially because it's fall, you'd start to see through your tree a little bit more. So I didn't want it to be too dense. So we're going a little bit lighter.
What's wants to know, are you going to paint a rake or a leaf blower with that?
Probably be more realistic, wouldn't it? You can go right ahead and do whatever lawn equipment you want to include in yours. Okay, so here again with our highlights colors, I'm doing it at the top of my little clusters here. So figuring out where my clusters are. And
that looks more like fall trees in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
When colors start changing.
Yep. Okay, so we're just going a little bit. We're going over the top of this red, and some of them will go just slightly above it. So, and that'll help too if we've left some room here, so that we don't close off all of our space in our tree here. So we're leaving some red or pockets of sky showing through still.
Yeah, anytime you guys paint along with us, or you actually paint the same picture later on, we love to have you, upload those.
Yes.
On Facebook, and Angela puts them sometimes on Pinterest as well. So you can always follow Angela with Facebook and Pinterest. And of course, then you also can sign up and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
That's right.
So you can get more of these live teachings. And there's a lot of them that, of course, this live teaching gets uploaded after we're done here. So you can watch them later and stop and go or fast forward anytime you have to.
Yeah.
So just makes it a little easier. And every 2 weeks we do these live YouTube paintings, and we'd love for you guys to join us. It makes it much more fun.
Right next to the subscribe button, there's a little wheel, like a little cog, and if you click on that, it has a little box that'll pop up, and it'll have a thing that says notify me of new videos by this channel or something like that. And if you click on that and save it, then you'll get email notifications when I do my live streams, so you won't miss out on any of them. So
yes, our next one is going to be actually on Halloween. So we'd like any kind of comments or suggestions for future shows, for anything.
Yeah, we're actually going to have two. Actually, we're going to have, we're going to have one on Halloween. We're going to have one in between too on the 17th, I think. Let me look here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the next one. So if you guys that are watching have any suggestions, let me know. Well, it'll be actually themed. So I think what I'm going to do is do inspirational quotes, and we'll do some little random small pieces that I'll paint words on. So if you've got any good inspirational quotes that you want me to include, you can be sure to either text them now or comment now, or you can join us and comment on the day of.
Or on your Facebook page.
Yeah, or on my Facebook page or wherever. Okay, so that's actually looking pretty good. And if you wanted to leave it at this, you could. I mean, this red is pretty bright. I did add some even lighter highlights. So to do that, I used my Naphthol Crimson and a little bit of white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stephanie says she's painted quite a few of your paintings, but she's not brave enough to post them.
Oh.
She says she has a great time.
Well, Stephanie, if you want to get, constructive criticism, I'd be happy to see them. You can send them to me in a private message, and I won't share them. So I'd be... Okay, so I've added just a little bit of white. It's not super bright, and because this color has so much orange in it, it doesn't look pink. If I use this color, this is so much of a purple tone. It's on the purple side of red, the red scale, so it turns pink when you add white to it. But this Naphthol Crimson is more on the orange side, so when you add white to it, it turns more of a peach color. So that's what we want. We don't want any necessarily have a pink tree here.
We have...
And this we're going real selective. This is...
Pillar B Porter is from Dublin, Ireland.
Ooh.
I really enjoy this painting. It is amazing, and I will try it.
Awesome. Ireland, that's really cool. I really want to visit Ireland someday. The only...
Beautiful and green.
Oh my goodness, I know. And I'm actually part Irish, so I'd have an excuse, right? Okay, so I'm just I've got fairly thick paint on here. If you do it up on your brush fairly thick, then you don't have to press down real hard, and then you won't get a real wide line, because you don't want a big old circle, right? You just want a little section. So by loading it on thick, and then just barely touching it on there, that'll help you get these little small areas. Ooh, that one's even brighter.
Michelle said she would add a tree swing and jump in the painting and enjoy the fall breeze.
Oh, yes.
Kind of reminds me of Mary Poppins when they jumped in the paintings and the park.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Oh, that's one of my favorite movies.
Taryn says, be watching for my name later. May I send you some of my own for grading?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And Angela Marie says, what brand of paints are you using?
I'm using Liquitex Basics and Master's Touch. These are my colors here. So I've got Master's Touch is a Hobby Lobby brand. But those are a student grade acrylic, so they're a little bit less expensive, and they sell them in kits. That's probably the most economical way of doing it if you're going to be using the heavy body acrylics, but are just beginning and don't really know what colors you want. Unless you know you're going to use a whole bottle of one color, you might I don't know. You might want to buy a small sample kit is what I was going to say. So, all right, so there's my highlight on my tree. And then at this point, if you got any of this too dark, you could go back in and go back over it. I'm going to pick up the Naphthol Crimson. Is it better?
They seem to be doing fine.
Okay. Well, my live stream is still having issues. I'm going to have to talk to somebody. I've actually got a person from YouTube that's going to chat with me on Monday, so I'll talk to them about the live stream issues that I'm having. See if they can help me work them out. Hopefully I haven't lost anybody. So now I'm just going to use some of that Naphthol Crimson and white and some of my white highlight color, and I've just kind of mixed some of those together. I'm just tapping a few of those leaves into the bottom area here.
Michelle asked a good question. She says, how do you protect your paintings from fading or chipping when you're done?
Acrylics actually are fairly resilient. They're kind of sticky, so they won't chip like oil paintings will. They've got an elasticity to them. But if you want to protect them from fading and such, you can, I always cover them with a varnish. I use a Liquitex product. It's gloss medium and varnish on my paintings. But there's also a UV spray that you can spray on them. There's just different products that will help with that, but that's a really good question. You do want to protect them just mainly from dust, because acrylics kind of dry, a little bit tacky, the dust will kind of stick to the painting, and you don't want that to happen. So you want it. All right, so now what?
Oh no, Vicky says we need a blanket and a picnic basket.
That's right. That is correct. I know, it does. Especially on a day like today. It's so beautiful out here in Arkansas. We've got such a beautiful fall day. We are really blessed. I probably did too much red under my tree here, but that's all right.
Yeah, the little bit of highlights on the tree made that whole thing just pop.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Very true, Angela Marie.
Okay, and if you notice that my my tree leaves, my red drops or leaves, whatever, they're more in the foreground than back here. So you wouldn't go as far away from the tree, like you wouldn't want them way up here. See, the same distance away from here to here, like you wouldn't want to put them way up here because that would look odd. You want them to look like they fell straight down, and really this area just above the roots is about as far up as you want to go. And then these down here can come closer to you because this tree is coming at you. That makes sense? So, all right, we're just about done. I think I might want to add just a few little areas of darker to my, I keep dropping water on my canvas, to my background area here, and just a few little lines of dark to give it a little bit more depth. And I don't want to go solid. This is the turquoise that I'm using, so I'm just adding a few little lines of turquoise that are watered down. And if you get it too dark, you can just use your finger to kind of wipe some of it off. That'll just help it look like there's some stuff that are getting some shadows back there. It's not a solid color, and give it a little bit more depth. As you get closer to the front, you can do it darker and go with the darker more solid color, not so washed out. Maybe come up underneath some of these grass clumps that we did. And come up around our tree here and put a few little shadows up underneath our tree and with this darker color. All these little extra steps will just add more detail and make it look a little bit more realistic.
On these 2-week paintings, when you see any kind of information on them, we would love for you guys to share it on your social media, whether that's Facebook or, I don't know, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. We want as many people as we can get to come and enjoy and keep learning. It's fun for us to get to meet you guys through our computer. We want as many people to learn and to just follow along with this whenever they want to. But
I think we're about done. Isn't that a mess? All right. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Let me get it up close here. You can get some
we're so
close
glad you guys
in there.
Watched, and we'll be looking for some of your paintings.
Yes, if you do this, I would love for you to share it with me on Facebook, and I've got a Pinterest page where I share student projects. So you can, remember I wanted to mess with that tree trunk. Sorry, let me show you what I do here. I just remembered I wanted to do that. Well, real quick, we'll use that original tree trunk color and we'll wet it down. And we'll just go back over that, and that'll just set that highlight back a little bit so it's not quite so in your face. There we go. All right. And you can do the same thing up here in this part of the tree too. If you get some really, like if your highlight got a little bit too bright in some areas, you can use that Naphthol Crimson or the Cadmium Red and tap back over some of these areas. Just make sure it's not watery. You can tap back over the top of some of these areas and tone them down a little bit. In fact, on my painting, I did do several leaves with this brush, this number 4 round, and I added some bigger leaves with it. So you can do that as well if you want to. Just add a few like larger leaves too. Especially around this outside area, really kind of is interesting. It kind of helps add just a little bit more detail. Now you don't have to do the whole painting with this little brush because that would get very tedious, but it's nice to have a little bit few different size leaves in there. So hope you enjoyed this. This was a really fun project for me. Really glad you guys got to join me today on such a beautiful fall day. And I think we're about done.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Thank you so much.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yes, see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.